Hey YouTube, on today's episode of Odyssey Overland 4x4, I will give you the first installment of my overlanding build. So obviously one of the first things that you may have noticed is that I have both of my fenders off. The reason for this is because I'm giving it my annual once around, if you want to call it that. I try to make sure that this vehicle is as rust-free as it can be, reasonably speaking, because I live in the Northeast in the salt belt. So they salt the roads very heavily during the winter, and this is my daily driver. So I try to avoid driving around the salt during the winter, and I've been pretty good about it. So one of the things that I wanted to mention that I was particularly proud of was you can see that the frame is in pretty mint condition. The way how I was able to keep it that way was I did put another layer of flat black over it, but the pre-existing paint was perfect. And the other thing that I did was you can see that it's all very hydrophobic. The reason why is because I actually sprayed military cosmoline all over this truck. So the truck is actually completely hydrophobic against all moisture. And also if any mud got caked up in there, it would actually just melt right off, which is something that's really nice. Here we have the original military 6.2 diesel. This is still 24 volt. I do have dual group 31 batteries up in the front. I'll show you around here. You can actually see that there are 2 alternators, and also I did a couple things to it. For example, like one of the biggest problems that I ran into was the brake system was completely shot. Someone mixed .5 with .3 in this system, so it was just really bad. I fixed a whole bunch of leaks. I mean, it's still not perfect, but at least it doesn't drip anything at this point. I had to rebuild the transmission on it. I also swapped the transmission the first time, and it was a big undertaking. I am still rocking the original GM 10 bolt. This does have the G80 locker, also known as the grenade locker. In this particular vehicle, the actual G80 is still good. These are 33-inch tires by 12.5 R15. Mickey Thompson Deagan 38s. Not a huge fan of this tire. I mean, if you have opposing opinions on it, you know, leave a comment down below, as well as give me some recommendations on some good tires. I really want all terrains. I think that it is more suitable for what I'm doing. Up at the top, I do have the Smitty built Overlander XL tent. I actually really like it. I hear a lot of people out there really like the Tepuis and other kinds of tents out there that are maybe a little more premium, but I think it actually serves the purpose quite nicely. I did install a shackle flip in the rear for the 4-inch lift. This is the original rear leaf spring, and it serves me well. I mean, the ride comfort is actually pretty nice. It doesn't really shake or rattle as much as you'd think for being an old truck. Taking a look inside, I mean, I was just finishing up the floors. I'm working on swapping a Suburban 3rd row bench seat back there for added comfort. The entire interior is actually Linexed, so that should prevent rust from the future. Overall, it's really clean. I know that there's a lot of stuff everywhere, but you know, bear with me, I am in project mode. This thing does clean up real nice. I do have all the original gauge clusters and everything. So I'm just yanking things apart right now because I have a little bit of time, and I really wanted to get somewhere with this project today. Up in the front, I do have my Harbor Freight winch. I actually made a video on how I mounted that. Video's in the description down below. And also I do have my CB radio antenna, and the roof rack, in case if you didn't know, is made out of aluminum. That way it won't rust and it will stay looking good for years to come. And this is the original CUCV brush guard that comes on these trucks. I really like it. I don't really see a need to upgrade bumpers. Also, another thing I wanted to mention is I am working on modernizing the vehicle. I'm not trying to take it far from its original styling, but what I am gonna do is I'm actually gonna make the exterior as original as possible to the period, minus maybe a winch and a few antennas here and there, along with the roof rack obviously, but I mean the actual body style I'm trying to keep as OEM as possible. And what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to be putting a whole lot of navigation systems on the inside that will make it a lot easier. I'm thinking about the Magellan TRX-7 off-road GPS. I hear a lot of good things about it. If any of you have experience with it, let me know. I am actually really curious about it. With the 6.2 diesel, I actually average at about 17 or 18 mpg. The reason why is actually because this military vehicle comes with a Turbo 400 heavy-duty case, so that I don't have overdrive. It's only 3 speeds, so without overdrive, you know, the engine is going to draw some more fuel. I did the spin-on fuel filter mod for the CUCV fans out there that may be watching this video, and also everything else is pretty much stock in terms of drivetrain and all that. I do plan to actually do a whole lot of swaps in the future, but that's not going to be for about a year or two. I plan to actually put Dana 60 in the front, 14 bolt in the rear, pretty common setup with lockers both in the front and rear. I might lift it 1 more inch so I could clear 34s without rubbing anywhere. And also this engine is going to come out. I do have the means of making all the mounts and everything, as well as beefing up any cross members or frame mounts. So that's the direction that I'll be going with for this particular vehicle. I did swap to sliding rear windows. The reason why is because I do not have air conditioning, not yet at least, until I start swapping things out. So for the time being, I mean, I can open that up. I do have my vent windows, and with that setup, it actually is pretty cool in there. I didn't find it to be overbearingly hot or anything. Given that the system is 24 volts, that can obviously lead to a few wiring headaches. I personally think that the CUCVs are actually really easy to work on. So when wiring 12 volt things in, I have to do things a little differently than most of you guys. I am going to put an auxiliary fuse panel in. I do plan to run a lot more relays, so this way the entire wire harness system on this is not heavily taxed for any auxiliary components. So here are the fenders that I took off. I was doing a couple last minute paint corrections. One of the things that I will be doing is actually clear wrapping it in 3M Scotch Guard, the same stuff that they make the clear bra out of for the front of the hood. I plan to wrap the entire vehicle because I can get that stuff in bulk for reasonably cheap. So once that comes around, I'll also make another update for that. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of the K5 Blazer update. If you have any questions for me, feel free to leave a comment down below or message me on YouTube. I do have a website, www.odysseyoverland4x4.com. Be sure to subscribe because there's going to be a lot more installments of these types of overlanding updates, and also click the bell icon to be notified for future uploads. Thanks for watching.